All right, guys, more day three wide receivers coming up. We're starting with Charlie Jones of Purdue, the Boilermakers, 24 years old, older prospect, but that's a little more acceptable when you get to day three. 5'11", 175 pounds, 31 and 5/8 inch arms, 9-inch hands. Had a nice little combine. His 40 time, 4.43, very effective. 1.5, 110 yards shuttle, or 10 yard split, excuse me. Jumps were okay. Big boards, ESPN doesn't even have him listed, which is kind of surprising because they have a lot of receivers listed. A couple have him in like the sixth or seventh round. Sports Illustrated is the only one that really liked him that I use. They have him in the fourth. The database has him going in around the fifth, and that seems reasonable to me. I kind of feel like he'll sneak into the back end of the fourth, but obviously at that point things are very, very fluid. Charlie Jones had an extremely productive 2022, which basically put him on the scene here. 13 games, 110 catches, almost 1,400 yards, and 12 touchdowns. He produced big time. So, how did he do it? He gets open really quickly. He catches a lot of short passes and then makes things happen with the ball in his hands. You can see him use his quickness to catch a lot of those passes by getting open fast. He's got great ball skills. He's going to make a play on pretty much every ball thrown his way. He's fights through contact really well, both in terms of like press coverage and just general tight coverage. He doesn't drop very many passes. Great concentration. He's good at finding holes in zone coverage. He's a talented route runner. He knows how to mix things up to keep defenders guessing. He knows how to mix up like tempo. That's one of the important skills of being able to run routes that some receivers have and some don't. He's a good blocker, and he's going to add something on special teams. So, Charlie Jones, a lot to like here. Now, I do think he needs to refine parts of his game in terms of things like route running. There are little things going on there that I think hold him back from being as good as he could be. Although he was still really good at it, I don't even know if I would consider that to be like a drawback. It's just like little things of like, his breaks, having a clean break, having a firm break, not just rounding off your route at the point of the break, things like that. He only had the one big year of college production. Like before 2022, it was very, very low key. He doesn't have a big catch radius either, even though he's going to, make a play on every ball that he can get his hands on. There are going to be some balls that are just out of his ability to get to. So I think that his combine combined with what he did in 2022 has me really interested here. He can do stuff as a return man at the very least, and I think there is actually real upside here. So honestly, I would spend a fourth rounder. Next up, we have Dontavian Wix of the Virginia Mountaineers, 22 years old, 6'1", 206 pounds, 32 and 3/8 inch arms, 10-inch hands. Combine, I mean, he was slow. 4.6, 240, almost a 1.6 10-yard split. Like, these are the 10-yard splits you see from, like, edge rushers, right? These are the 10-yard splits you typically see from the Will Andersons of the world. Not good. But 39-inch vert was good. Almost an 11-foot broad jump. So, good athlete. He's just slow. And ESPN likes him so much they think he'll be a third-round pick. The other big boards kind of have him in the fifth and sixth round, though. The mock draft database has him in the late fourth, which seems like a reasonable expectation to me. That being said, I personally don't really see it with him. I'm not a big fan of Wix at the moment. He's one of the receivers I looked at in this batch that really didn't do it for me. He produced a lot on vertical routes. He ran a lot of vertical routes at Virginia and had a lot of success on them. He's a good route runner. He's a really tough blocker. He's one of the better blockers at receiver in this class. He's willing to fight hard for balls in tightly contested coverage. He's going to win those battles against defensive backs when it becomes a matter of who wants it more. His ball skills are really good, and he was able to do some things with running after the catch. That explosiveness that's indicated by his jump scores does help him in that regard. However, my concern is that at college, in the college level, he was a vertical threat. And this 40 time, this is telling me that when he gets to the NFL, that's not going to work. You're not going to be getting open deep that often when this is your 40 time. So what I'm trying to say is I don't think his vertical route success and some of the things he did related to that, like being able to break off routes because he was threatening to go deep. I don't know if that's going to translate to the NFL. He also drops a lot of passes. He has good ball skills in terms of making a play on the ball, but he does drop too many passes. And his 2022 season was just not good. He didn't develop a good rapport with his new quarterback. He dropped too many passes. He didn't fit in with the new offense. So there were a lot of things that didn't go well in 2022. So overall, while there is some interesting promise here, I'm I'm not interested in Wix. I don't see much with him. To me, I wouldn't be interested until the UDFA period, and I think he'll probably go before then. But this is a guy to me who I wouldn't really spend a draft pick on. Maybe like a seventh round pick just for the size and the ball skills. But you combine the weak 40 time with the weak 10-yard split and the lackluster hands and the fact that I don't think these things are going to translate to the NFL. I'm out. Okay, now we have Trey Palmer of Nebraska. Could not find his age. 6 feet tall, 192 pounds, almost 32-inch arms, 9 and 5/8-inch hands. Ran a really nice 40 time, 4.33, 1.51 10-yard split, so good acceleration on top of the really good speed. Couple of the big boards have him going in the fourth. One has him in the fifth, Sports Illustrated, and ESPN has him going as like a really, really high value UDFA. Database says late fourth, early fifth. Seems reasonable to me. He burst onto the scene big time last year. 12 games he had over 1,000 yards, over 70 catches, 9 touchdowns. Did a little bit of work on like jet sweep stuff as well. So pretty good final year of Trey Palmer's college career. And I'll say this guy intrigued me, especially with the potential value here. So let's take a look. He's very fast and quick, obviously. The combine indicated this, but on the football field, he's fast, he's quick. He's going to do good stuff on special teams. At the very least, I think if you get him, you're getting a good returner. He's got good ball tracking skills on the deep shots. He's not just somebody who's going to be fast, but not be able to run down the deep balls. He's got good ball tracking skills. I think there's some real upside here for him to become actually a really good NFL receiver. For a day three guy, he has upside beyond what you would expect. And even though he's a little bit on the smaller side, press coverage is not necessarily going to deter him. He's able to beat press. And again, he's not small, but he's not big. He's got a nice catch radius. You throw him the ball, he's going to go try to make a play on it. He's going to get his hands on a lot of the balls that go his way. Now, that being said, I do think he needs to be a little more physical at the point of catch. And that's going to be something that is kind of a big deal because he's a little bit on the smaller side. He's going to have to be willing to go up and get it a little bit more. So far in his career, he's been mostly a slot receiver. And I don't know how his abilities will translate to the NFL in terms of trying to be an outside receiver. That might be something that he just doesn't have in him. And he didn't run that many routes at Nebraska, so he's going to have to pick up more routes in the NFL. So I'm really intrigued by Trey Palmer. He quickly became one of my favorites in this crop. And even though the mock draft database says he's a late fourth rounder, I would spend a mid fourth rounder on him pretty easily here. I'd say he's fair in the mid fourth round. I wouldn't even hate spending an early fourth round pick on him. I really like him. I think the value's there. I think there's upside. I think there's a good floor with him at least being a return man. So Trey Palmer was somebody who grew on me as I did this evaluation. The speed is good too, but there's a lot of other stuff to like as well. So yeah, Trey Palmer, good day three option to be your slot receiver. All right, final guy for this video is Jonathan Mingo of Ole Miss, 22 years old. Bigger guy. This is one of the bigger guys, 6'2", 220 pounds, 32 and 1/8-inch arms, 10 and 3/8-inch hands. Combine for his size, respectable, very respectable, 4.46. Pretty good acceleration here. Almost a 40-inch vert, 10-foot 9-inch broad, indicating great explosiveness, and 22 bench press reps. So there's an intriguing combo of talent here for sure. ESPN likes him the most. They think he's an early fourth rounder. Draft Network says late fourth rounder, and the other big boards have him in like the fifth or sixth. Aggregate says somewhere around the fifth. And I think that's a reasonable expectation. But I like this guy, I think, a little bit more than that, maybe. 2022 was probably his best season. He wasn't amazing, but he gave you 50 catches for about 861 yards, 5 touchdowns, decent production, and I think that there might be an upside here beyond what he showed in college. He's got good size and knows how to use it to his advantage. Hard to bring down after the catch. He's somebody who's going to make players miss and push through, um, push through contact for extra yards as well. He's somebody who you can throw a short pass to, like a bubble screen or any kind of wide receiver screen really, and tell him to go make something good happen, and he can do it. He's good against press coverage. He knows how to get off the release. He knows how to get off the line of scrimmage. And for a guy who is mostly like a big size possession type receiver, he's got pretty decent speed. He's not going to be completely useless on things like go routes. But it's not great top end speed. Sometimes he loses the catch due to a lack of aggression attacking the ball. For somebody who's this big, you'd like him to be a little more assertive when he goes up to get the ball. His hands are not great. He did drop a few too many passes. And his route running can be a little bit lazy. Like he'll round off the break. He'll occasionally be a little too transparent with the kind of route he's planning to run because of his steps. So some stuff to clean up there. But I think most of his negative traits can be coached up. Like he'll never have elite speed, but this speed is not bad. I don't consider that to be bad for a receiver of that size. So at the very least, with him, you are getting a good playmaker who's a combination of size and athleticism that is going to be tough to deal with. And once you get to the middle of the 4th round, I would be open to Jonathan Mingo. So give me him around the middle 4th round. I'm going to say that's a solid pick. I don't completely hate him in the early 4th either, but you get him around the middle 4th, I'm feeling pretty happy about that personally. All right, that's 4 more day 3 receivers. More coming later. See you guys soon. Go Hawks.